You watch him from the kitchen doorway. Late lights slanting across the floor, the faint steam rising from your coffee, the soft cadence of a neighborhood you know by heart. He lifts his head and, before you can decide if he's tired, he yawns long, slow, the way a human's does when sleep nears. And because that is our reflex, you think, oh, he must be sleepy. But there is a quieter truth in that breath, a language folded into the hollow of his jaw that most of us never learn to read. Imagine for a moment that yawns are punctuation in a conversation you never realized you were having. A yawn near your knee when you raise your voice becomes a comma. I'm uneasy. A yawn at the doorway when a stranger arrives is an ellipsis. I'm trying to smooth this. Sometimes the yawn is barely audible, a soft exhale that fills the space between you, an offering of calm. Other times it is raw and broad, a visible attempt to steady himself inside a sudden storm of noise, movement, or emotion. The house settles around these tiny sentences. They pass like weather. You'll see him sit up slowly as a glass clinks in the sink. Catch a yawn that seems to answer your tension before you say anything at all. You will notice the yawn when you reach out too quickly, and again when another dog strolls past the fence. In each moment the scene shifts almost imperceptibly. His eyes soften, a lip lifts, he turns his face away. These are not signs of fatigue. They are the tools of an animal that wants to keep the peace. There is a certain humility to learning this language. It asks us to slow down, to listen, to meet a subtle offer of calm with understanding rather than impatience. In the next moments you will watch 5 clear scenes where the yawn speaks aloud. Small dramas that reveal what your dog is trying to say before anything else happens. If this resonates with you, tell me, what's the question you've always wanted to ask about your dog's behavior? Stay with me, there's a different way to hear him coming up next. You lean in, voice a fraction too sharp, and he answers not with teeth or retreat but with a long, wet yawn that fills the quiet like a small white flag. The living room stills. The light from the window catches the dust motes and the slow arc of his jaw. You surprise yourself by softening the tone, by saying, "Sorry, buddy," and the room breathes with him. The yawn was a sentence. "I'm uneasy, please lower the heat." Later, you reach suddenly for the leash, eager, hands moving before thought. He freezes, eyes flick to your approach, then yawns again, shorter, deliberate, then sidesteps, offering a tiny head turn away. You pause, hand midair, and the pace eases. The leash waits. That quick, human impatience dissolves because the yawning dog has drawn a boundary without drama. A crash from the kitchen, a handful of plates, the lid of the trash can somersaulting, jolts the house. Your pulse spikes. He blinks, lifts his paw, and yawns twice in a row, slow and expansive, as if inhaling calm and exhaling alarm. You move toward the noise, ready to scold the careless child or the clumsy cat. But his yawns push you to look again, to assess rather than react. The panic retracts like a tide. On a walk, another dog approaches. A taut body, curious snout. You step forward to intercede, but he yawns, lips curling faintly, face turning aside. It is an olive branch. The other owner relaxes. The dogs find a rhythm, and the moment passes without incident. The yawn negotiated peace where words might have escalated. At night, you sit with your head full of unpaid bills and errands, your breath tight with worry. He rests his chin on your knee and yawns, not sleepy at all but steady and slow, a mirror to your stress. You swallow, close the unpaid bills tab, and breathe once, twice, matching him. The tension in your shoulders unwinds. 5 yawns, 5 small translations of canine language that steer the scene. Each one is an offering. A self-calming breath, a gentle request for space, a social pacifier that says, "I don't want trouble." If this landed with you, tap like, "Tell me below. When does your dog yawn at you?" Stay with me, the next part will reveal exactly what that yawn is doing under the skin and how to answer back. The first time it happens, you think nothing of it. A long, soft yawn as you raise your voice sharply to stop a misbehaving jump. But watch closer. He pauses, head low, shoulders easing, and the yawn stretches like a white flag. Your voice ricochets off the kitchen tiles. You see the corners of his mouth pull back, a slow exhale, then that deliberate gape. In the space between your words and his yawn, the room changes temperature. The yawn is not fatigue. It is an attempt to smooth the air you've roughened. A different afternoon. A little boy rushes toward him with arms full of candy and excitement. The dog's body tenses, the tail tucks a fraction, and he yawns. A measured, sideways mouth opening, eyes softening. The boy skids to a stop, surprised, and the parent murmurs, "Easy." That tiny theatrical breath buys time. A polite request, "We can do this slowly." The camera lingers on the dog's turned face. The subtle lip lick that follows. The unspoken diplomacy of fur and breath. Then there's the abrupt thunder of a slammed door. People flinch. The house sharpens. He looks at you, then deliberately lets out a yawn that pulls his shoulders down, the muscles choosing calm. The sound might make you roll your eyes, but in that moment he offers an internal steadying, a way to tell himself and you that danger is not immediate. At the park, another dog approaches. A growl may be one route, confrontation another. Instead he coughs out a soft, long yawn, steps back a hair, and angles his head away. Pacification in motion. The other dog relaxes. Tension dissipates. It is nearly as if the yawn speaks. "I'm not a threat." The most intimate scene is when you sit, shoulders knotted with a day of worry. He rests his head on your knee and yawns. Not boredom, empathy. He mirrors your unease and tries to dissipate it with breath. These yawns are sentences. Small, circular, humane. If any of these moments moved you, give a quiet nod with a thumbs up and tell me. Which one happens most with your dog? Stay with me. Next, I'll reveal what these yawns really accomplish and how knowing them can change everything between you. He yawns and the room rearranges itself. In the first house, a man in his 50s raises his voice to correct late shoes on the mat. The word lands sharp and brittle. The dog tilts his head, lets out a long, slow yawn that unravels like a white flag. The man pauses, surprised by how such a small, ordinary motion seems to smooth the air. Eyes softening, shoulders losing a fraction of their tension. She says, "Hey, okay," more gently, almost imitating the dog, and the moment slides toward calm. Across town, a young woman bends down too quickly to clip a leash, all hurry and good intentions. The dog answers not with teeth but with a yawn, as if to buy time, an audible comma between movement and contact. You see the breath expand, the muzzle relax. He steps aside, not fleeing but offering distance, as if to say, "Not now." Her hands hover. She waits. The room exhales with them. A thunderclap from the street throws a vase into a jittery tremor. The household jumps. The dog yawns again, quieter this time, like a single slow blink after a strobe. In the echo of that sound, the house feels steadier. Candles of attention relit. Neighbors glance, owners glance back to the dog, and something untold circulates. You notice the way a yawn rejects panic, how it steadies pulse and gaze. On a leash walk, another dog approaches with the bluntness of a barge. A yawn appears between the two animals, a little diplomatic ripple. He does not lunge. He moves his head, lashes his tongue, gives space. The other dog bristles, sniffs, and the potential sharp exchange dissolves into passing curiosity. It is a tiny, communal treaty signed in the language of breath. Finally, in the quiet after an argument, a woman folds into the couch wearing worry like a coat. Her dog yawns beside her, a soft echo of the tension she carries. No scolding, no instruction. Just the animal's slow, steady inhalation, as if trying to carry some of her weight off her shoulders. If any of these scenes ring true for you, tap like quietly. Tell me, when did your dog yawn to change the mood? Stay with me. Next, we will look beneath that yawn and discover what it's really trying to say. The morning was ordinary. Sunlight slanting across the kitchen tiles, the kettle hissing, and him, tail low, eyes soft, offering a small, slow yawn as she reached for his leash. She waved it away with a laugh. "He's just tired," she said, and clipped the lead on with a firmer hand. At first nothing happened. Then the yawn returned as a little lip lick, then a longer breath, and finally a tightened jaw when a passerby edged their dog too close. The polite pause he had been buying evaporated like steam. A snap of teeth against a sleeve, a bruise of surprise and shame on both sides. The room went quiet enough to hear regrets building. Later, in the park, the air held a different pressure. A loud stroller, a child shrilling with joy. Small sounds, huge to a dog trying to steer the moment toward calm. He yawned, low and layered, but the owner kept walking, voice clipped. "Don't worry." The yawn shifted into a rigid body and then a sudden lunge toward the perceived threat. A leash taut as a wire. Owners pulled, faces red, apologies spilling into the afternoon. The neighbors exchanged looks that meant something like, danger, and something like, we didn't see it coming. These are the quiet failures of not listening. Yawns traded for growls, polite distance replaced by rigid avoidance. Afternoons that once promised simple joy narrowing into schedules of correction, muzzles, fences. You feel it in the home. The way footsteps make him flatten. The way guests are announced like weather reports. You feel it in yourself. A creeping liability, the sense that the language you once shared has frayed. Small accidents multiply. A startled child, a chewed doorframe, a vet visit where the question is always the same. Why did he suddenly change? The truth is less dramatic than we imagine and more dangerous for that reason. A yawn is an offered bridge, a little peace treaty. Ignore enough treaties and the landscape of your life with him will harden into conflict. How many of those tiny offers have you overlooked? Stay with me. Next, I'll show the simple human shifts that reroute this downward slope and restore those fragile pauses into safety and trust. What's your biggest worry with your dog right now? There is a small miracle in the quiet between your breaths. A yawn, suspended like a tiny white flag, and the house leans in to listen. You remember the sharpness of your tone earlier, how the coffee spilled and you raised your voice for one instant. He answered with a slow, deliberate yawn and a soft turn of the head, as if offering a truce. Later, the neighborhood slammed a door and the ceiling light flickered. You felt the sudden jolt in your chest and watched him yawn again, lips brushing a paw, the way someone smooths a shirt when they try to appear calm. At the park, another dog passed too close and he sighed wide, a sentence of peace aimed at the newcomer. Once, when you tightened your shoulders in worry, he leaned back a step and exhaled that same old yawn, carrying the unspoken. I don't want trouble. Those little yawns are not riddles. They are the dog's grammar of peace, self-regulation, and social offering braided into a single, humble gesture. Paired with a sideways glance, a licking of the lips, a subtle retreat, a yawn becomes a whole paragraph that says, softly, I choose calm so we can all keep walking. When you learn to listen, you begin to anticipate the next move. Soften your voice, give space, breathe with him. The house changes. Less alarm, fewer startled reactions. A different soundtrack where apologies arrive in time and conflicts deflate. But there is a cost to ignoring this delicate language. Each dismissed yawn is a missed request for safety. Over time, the small offers harden into louder signals. Stiff postures, a low growl, a moment where you both wonder how it got that far. Understanding is preventive medicine. Preserves trust, it prevents fear, it keeps tails wagging instead of tucking. So tonight, when your dog yawns near you, don't rush to assume sleep. Listen like someone learning a language of kindness. If this shifted something for you, a quiet like helps us keep making these translations. Tell me in the comments, what's your biggest question or problem with your dog? If you want more ways to hear what they're saying, stay with us. There's always another small truth waiting to be understood.